The Kayfabe Crunch is democratized thanks to Vote 2020. This year is the most unique and critical election of our lifetimes. You're registered, you have your ballot, but who do you vote for? Larry, the Mace, Hornbill, or Georgie Six Knuckles Ballenbew? Vote now for the President of the Wrestling Media Association of America.
The Kayfabe Crunch. Devon, get the news.
Not today. I'm getting a leeching at 6:30. Good news! This is your Kayfabe Crunch for Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. That's a lot of 20s. I'm Xander, X Factor. Coming up, we have all the latest from Raw. Plus, we look back at an internet forum from 1997 to check the fan reaction to the original Hell in a Cell match. But first, on this day in grappling history, in 1996, The Undertaker was buried alive. Although, as a zombie and perennial dead man, we have to ask, can The Undertaker truly be buried alive? And happy birthday to Scott Hall, the man who Billie Eilish unashamedly ripped off, as he's the original bad guy. I'd sue her, Scott, honestly I would. Thanks for selecting the Kayfabe Crunch as your chosen wrestling news source. Unfortunately, we've decided to cancel Kayfabe Crunch Underground after 8 moderately average weeks. Thank you to all who enjoyed it. And you to those who didn't. And now, let's get on with the Faction-Fracas news. Top story, the hacker revealed. Last night saw the season premiere of Monday Night Raw. It was something of a sizzle reel, a showcase of the new Raw roster. It made for a handful of exciting moments, but that came at the expense of good quality wrestling. Sort of like the complete opposite of Dynamite's anniversary show. The Fiend and Alexa Bliss opened Raw, but before they could say anything, they were attacked by Retribution, who, in turn, before they could do anything, were attacked by the Hurt Business sizzle reel. This led to an opening 8-man tag team match between Retribution and the Pain Conglomerate, where at one point, Slapjack was slapped out of whack after a snap attack. He fell on his back, a lot to unpack. So to recap, Slapjack whacked in scrap, and T-Bar's a superstar. Not really, he tapped out to Lashley, before the Fiend came back to attack both factions. Why? We'll find out! Sizzle reel. Later in the night, each faction was given the opportunity to make a statement for 2 minutes before their mics were muted. The Hurt Business chose to use their time to abuse and assault Titus O'Neil, a respected community leader who devotes his life to charity work. Whereas Retribution used their time to attack the soulless corporate infrastructure of WWE, as well as call out their systemically racist inability to feature someone named Mustafa Ali for the last 2 years. So the Hurt Business are villains and Retribution are heroes. Got it. In the most interesting morsel of newsworthy fudge, Ali confirmed he was the SmackDown hacker. What a revelation! What, you mean the guy who used Ali's logo and colour scheme turned out to be Ali? Still, it's nice to have the answers, you know? That's another unanswered question crossed off the list. Now we just need to find out, what was in Shane McMahon's lockbox? Who was Haid Vanson? Why did the Nexus help Kane bury The Undertaker? Who blew up Vince's limo? And why is Drake Younger still under employment despite using a company email to spread dangerous conspiracy theories? So if you could get on some of those, Ali, that would be terrific. And now it's time for your fast count. The legends in the Thunderdome of news.
Religious groups campaign against the upcoming Hell in a Cell pay-per-view name. They suggest Heck in a Sec as the replacement. They hate cursing, but respect a rhyme scheme.
Strowman vs. Lee ends in rampant ball bashing. Why bother learning a devastating maneuver when you can just ram someone in the nads?
Drew McIntyre gains access to Hell in a Cell using bolt cutters. I wondered where I put those.
AJ Styles hires Jordan Amogbehen as his personal bodyguard, revealing that Raw Underground wasn't about the athletes, but the bouncer. Shane McMahon, you've done it again.
Big E had to appear on a Thunderdome screen to support his friends. Clearly, he didn't get the same memo as the Riot Squad, who realized you could just sort of show up.
Elias plays full concert live on Raw. Jeff Hardy joined on guitar, but the Kayfabe Crunch can confirm that Peroxygen will not feature on the debut album.
Lana once again put through an announce table. This is the 4th week in a row, so the rule of 3 is broken, and this is no longer a joke. Although it may be funny again at 6.
El Grande Gordo makes his WWE debut. The former 6-time EPPPPPPPW champion is sure to do well on Monday nights. And that's your fast count.
You've been counted out. Was that really Goldberg?
As we approach Hell in a Cell, where the 43rd, 44th, and 45th eponymous matches will take place, we thought it might be a little interesting to see what fans from the previous generation had to say about the debut of the demonic design. The first ever Hell in a Cell match took place at Bad Blood in Your House. Personally, I think that any blood in your house is bad, apart from the blood contained inside the body of the homeowner. That's vital. The event happened on October 5th, 1997. And I have in my hand a printed copy of posts from an internet forum from the very next day. These posts come from a website called wwfbooyah.com. The website is no longer active. We actually used the Wayback Machine to recover these posts. So let's take a look at this nostalgic discussion from 97. Now, the conversation takes place between two users of wwfbooyah.com, and they are BrettLover65 and Ross X Rachel. So let's see what the IWC was like back then. BrettLover65 starts. What the hell was that? I'd expect that backyard bullshit from ECW, but not the WWF. I understand cage matches, but this is too much. And Kane? The Undertaker has a brother? This company has zero originality. Ross X Rachel replied, I actually enjoyed the main event. BrettLover65 responded, You're wrong I'm not saying that word. You're wrong. And here's why. The Undertaker is stale and has been for years. Both Hell in a Cell and Kane are just a way of trying to revive his dead career. Open brackets, no pun intended, close brackets. Anyway, he's getting older and should retire soon. And Michaels just doesn't have it in him anymore. The passion isn't there, and honestly, it's like he's gaining a frown or something. Ross X Rachel replied, Well, I liked it. BrettLover65 then said, Listen here, ass teeth. I don't care if you liked it. You're wrong. How can anyone like this backyard trash? I've seen kids in my neighborhood have better wrestling matches than that monstrosity. Ross X Rachel replied, Why are you watching kids in your neighborhood? BrettLover65 responded, Because, genius, I can see the backyard they wrestle in from my bedroom window. Ross X Rachel replied, Well, don't look then. Brett Lover 65 added, I actually have loads of windows in my bedroom due to my lucrative job as a Tamagotchi engineer, so it would be impossible not to watch them wrestle. Ross X Rachel replied, Okay, nonce. Brett Lover 65 then said, I just looked up that word on urbandictionary.com, and I'll have you know I'm a respected leader of the Boy Scouts of America and in no way a paedophile. Please can you delete your posts, lest you face my wrath? Ross X Rachel replied, No. Brett Lover 65 responded, Right, well, one of my buddies at the Tamagotchi factory is an experienced hacker. He will hack your account and remove the post for me. And while he's at it, we'll get access to your Alta Vista and Yahoo accounts. So f*** you backwards, you uneducated, uncultured motherf***. Ross X Rachel replied, Owen Hart match was good though. Brett Lover 65 said, Oh yeah, it was great. And there's just time to scream into a pillow. Ready to face another day. Join us Saturday when we'll ask, how does Daniel Bryan feel about the Thunderdome's energy bill? And remember, you can support this podcast by following us on Twitter at Kayfabe Crunch. Twitter. It's no WWFbooyah.com, but it'll have to do. This has been the Kayfabe Crunch, your not quite daily, not quite news bump for the world of professional wrestling.
The Kayfabe Crunch is democratized thanks to Vote 2020. It doesn't matter who you vote for, just vote. We support Larry Hornbill and have no respect for Georgie Ballenview's anti-chokeslam sentiment. But our wrestling democracy is kept healthy by your participation. Sign your ballot in all 619 places and give your life meaning.
The Kayfabe Crunch.